The courtroom is silent, every eye glued to the center, where Kody Brown stands, his face a mask of tension and disbelief. Outside, whispers ripple through the halls. Allegations that could destroy everything the family has built are about to be revealed. But the question burning in everyone's mind is simple. Can a family so publicly united survive the secrets tearing them apart? Stay with me, because what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. And don't forget to comment below if you think you'd survive this kind of family betrayal. P. The morning sun casts long, cold shadows across the courthouse steps, painting the familiar brick walls in a harsh golden hue. Kody Brown arrives first, his usually confident stride slightly faltering. Today is different. Today, it isn't just cameras capturing the story of a polygamist family. Today, it's about truth, accountability, and betrayal. His wives, each arriving separately, carry a weight heavier than the cameras ever could capture. Christine's jaw is tight, her eyes flicker with suspicion. Robyn's hands tremble slightly as she clutches her coat. And Meri, she looks distant, almost unmoored, as though she has been walking through this moment in her mind for months. Inside the courtroom, the air is thick. The smell of polished wood, damp coats, and a faint hint of anxiety from the spectators clings to every corner. The judge, an imposing figure, peers over his glasses, scanning the room. Murmurs die down instantly as the gavel comes down. "We are here today to hear the case of the Brown family," he announces, his voice calm, but carrying the weight of inevitability. The allegations brought forth are serious, and the court expects full disclosure. Kody swallows hard, adjusting the tie he picked out this morning, the one he thought would project strength. But strength feels fragile right now. Christine shifts in her seat, whispering to her attorney, while Robyn bites her lip, eyes fixed on the papers in front of her. The first witness is called, a longtime family friend whose testimony could unravel years of secrecy. As the friend begins to speak, detailing a clandestine meeting that nobody in the family had admitted to, tension coils in the room like a living thing. Robyn's eyes widen. Christine stiffens, and Kody's face goes pale. Every word hits like a hammer. Alliances are questioned, loyalties tested, and somewhere in the back, a court reporter scribbles furiously, capturing what might become the turning point of this case. You won't believe what happens next. It's a revelation that could change everything you thought about this family. By mid-morning, the atmosphere shifts from tense to electric. A video recording is presented, showing private conversations none of the wives expected to see in public. Gasps echo through the courtroom. Kody's hands tighten into fists, nails pressing into his palms. Christine shakes her head, whispering, I can't believe this." Robyn leans forward, voice barely a whisper. This isn't happening. The judge calls for a brief recess, and the families shuffle out, but the tension doesn't leave. Outside, questions fly like sparks. How did it come to this? Who betrayed who first? Is their marriage even real? Each wife retreats inward, processing, calculating, fearing what comes next. Even the spectators feel it, a collective holding of breath, waiting for the storm to break. When court resumes, the prosecution delivers a document that could shift the entire narrative. Every eye in the room is glued to Kody as he reads, disbelief giving way to a mix of anger and despair. Christine exhales sharply, a silent scream trapped in her chest. Robyn's shoulders slump. She doesn't trust herself to speak. And Meri, she looks at the ceiling, silently counting the seconds until this nightmare ends. And just when you think it can't get worse, an unexpected phone call changes the courtroom forever. The courtroom reconvenes, but the atmosphere has shifted. What was already tense now feels almost unbearable. like a storm waiting to crash down on everyone present. Kody sits stiffly, hands clasped together, eyes darting between his wives, the judge, and the legal team, as if searching for some invisible lifeline. Christine's eyes burn with quiet fury, every muscle in her body rigid, as though she's bracing herself for impact, while Robyn's fingers drum a nervous rhythm against her notebook, her breathing shallow, betraying the fear she tries to mask behind a calm facade. Meri remains distant, staring at the polished wooden floor, her thoughts a whirlwind of betrayal, confusion, and the nagging question of whether she even recognizes the family she has been part of for decades. The prosecutor stands, files clutched tightly, and begins to speak, laying out the next layer of accusations: secret communications, hidden finances, and meetings that none of the wives knew about, all suggesting a fracture in the family's carefully constructed public image. The words hang in the air, sharp and undeniable, and Kody's face tightens with each revelation, a flicker of panic crossing his features before he masks it with the stoic composure expected of a patriarch. The first witness of this session is called, a former family confidant who had once been trusted implicitly, now brought forward to testify about confidential conversations and moments of tension between the wives. The witness speaks slowly, deliberately, recounting nights of whispered arguments, clandestine phone calls, and moments of isolation imposed on certain members of the family. And the courtroom reacts. Christine shifts uncomfortably. Robyn swallows hard, and Meri's hands shake as if trying to hold herself together while invisible hands pull her apart. As the testimony unfolds, the narrative of a family bound by love but fractured by secrecy begins to emerge, painting Kody not as a loving husband in a plural marriage, but as a man whose decisions ripple unpredictably, causing pain and confusion for all those around him. The tension is almost tangible, pressing down on everyone present, making the wooden benches feel harder, the air heavier, the fluorescent lights above more glaring and unkind. The judge leans forward, his voice cutting through the thick silence. "Are there any questions for the witness?" And suddenly, the room erupts, not with noise, but with a volley of controlled, precise questions that dig into motives, timelines, and hidden truths, exposing fissures in the family's story that no one could have anticipated. Just when you think the family's secrets have been fully exposed, what comes next will leave you questioning everything again. Christine's voice is sharp and unwavering as she speaks, each word a strike in the courtroom. Why were we never told about these meetings? Why do I feel like I've been kept in the dark for years? Robyn looks at her, eyes wide, her own voice trembling as she adds, "And what about the choices that affected all of us? How could decisions be made without even a discussion?" Kody opens his mouth to respond, but the weight of the room, the staring eyes, the hushed whispers, the judgment that seems to hang in every corner renders him momentarily speechless. The witness continues, adding fuel to the fire with details about financial decisions that excluded certain wives, private conversations where loyalties were questioned, and emotional manipulations that had gone unnoticed by all but a few observant family members. The camera pans across the wives' faces, Christine's jaw clenched, eyes flashing, Robyn's lips pressed into a thin line as if trying to suppress a sob. Meri's fingers clutching her bag so tightly that the leather creases under her grip, and the audience can feel the raw emotional weight of the testimony. The tension escalates when a new piece of evidence is introduced. Text messages and emails between Kody and external advisors, conversations that suggest he was seeking guidance on how to manage disputes privately, avoiding full transparency with the wives. The room reacts collectively. Murmurs ripple like a wave through the spectators, and the judge raises an eyebrow, signaling the gravity of the revelations. Kody's face pales, his breathing shallow, as he realizes that every hidden conversation, every private decision, has now become a public spectacle. Christine leans toward her attorney, whispering something that causes a nod of acknowledgement, while Robyn's head drops, hands covering her face for a brief, fleeting moment of vulnerability before she steels herself again. Meri's lips move silently, as if forming words that won't come out. Eyes fixed on the floor, in a mixture of shame, grief, and disbelief. The prosecutor seizes the moment, their voice calm, yet cutting. These communications paint a picture of selective disclosure, of decisions that impacted each of you without your knowledge. How do you respond to that, Mr. Brown? Kody swallows, forcing a steady tone. Every decision I made was with the intention of protecting the family. I never meant to hurt anyone. The witness shakes their head slowly, countering. Intentions aside, the impact is undeniable. Feelings were disregarded, voices silenced. The courtroom feels like a pressure cooker, emotions boiling over, but held in check by legal formality. Christine's hands tremble slightly, her voice rising as she addresses Kody directly. You call that protection? You call this silence protection? We trusted you with our lives. Robyn adds, her voice breaking now. We weren't just silenced, we were gaslit. We were told everything was fine while knowing the truth would shatter us. Meri finally looks up, eyes glistening, and whispers, how did we get here? How did our family become strangers to each other? The judge interrupts briefly to restore order, but the room is already charged with an intensity that words alone cannot contain. Tension shifts seamlessly as the narrative moves to a flashback, replaying moments from years ago when subtle cracks first appeared. Christine discovering discrepancies in household decisions, Robyn sensing exclusion from certain family discussions, and Meri quietly retreating into herself. The early signs of mistrust and resentment hidden beneath forced smiles and polite words. These memories, now revealed through testimony and evidence, add layers to the story, making each revelation more devastating than the last. Kody, watching the proceedings, experiences a rush of emotions, regret, defensiveness, and fear, all playing across his face in rapid succession. The camera captures every micro-expression, from a fleeting frown to the tightening of his jaw, each telling a story that words cannot fully convey. And just when it seems the storm might pass, a bombshell piece of evidence is introduced that could change the outcome of this case entirely. The prosecution presents a diary, meticulously kept, chronicling conversations, emotional struggles, and secret grievances that were never shared publicly. Each page read aloud is a punch to the gut, exposing hidden pain and disappointment, painting a vivid picture of a family whose unity is strained to its breaking point. Christine gasps audibly. Robyn's hands shake as she grips the edge of the bench, and Meri's eyes well with tears that she cannot quite hide. The witness, now on the stand for hours, recounts moments where tensions erupted behind closed doors. Arguments over loyalty, decisions made without consent, and emotional confrontations that never reached the light of day until now. The courtroom collectively holds its breath as the implications sink in. This isn't just a family dispute. It's a saga of hidden emotions, secret decisions, and the devastating consequences of miscommunication and selective transparency. Kody attempts to interject, but the weight of the evidence and the clarity of the testimony leave him grasping for words, for explanations, for some way to mend what has been laid bare before everyone. Christine stands suddenly, pointing toward Kody, voice sharp and trembling. We trusted you, and look at where that trust has led us. Robyn leans forward, tears spilling over, voice breaking. We need answers, not excuses, not half-truths. We need honesty. Meri whispers so quietly that only a few can hear. I just want to know why it had to be this way. The judge calls for a brief recess again, sensing the raw emotional state of the participants, but the tension does not abate. It lingers, thick and suffocating, in the air. Spectators exchange uneasy glances, knowing that what has unfolded so far is only the tip of the iceberg, and that the next few hours could redefine everything about the family dynamic, alliances, and the personal stakes of each individual involved. As the session nears its close, the last witness of the day is called, a close friend who has observed the family over the years, someone whose insights could either mitigate or exacerbate the perception of Kody's actions. Their testimony is careful, yet each word seems to carry a knife edge of truth, exposing moments of favoritism, moments of exclusion, and the unspoken tension that has long simmered beneath the surface. Kody listens, expression taut, trying to reconcile the public perception with his private reality. Christine leans back in her chair, exhaustion and frustration battling across her face. Robyn closes her eyes briefly, silently praying for clarity and resolution. Meri clutches a tissue, staring blankly, processing the emotional onslaught. The session ends with the judge stating, "We will reconvene tomorrow for continued testimony. Be prepared for additional evidence that may require careful consideration." Everyone files out slowly, minds spinning, hearts racing, and the camera captures the wives' faces, each a portrait of emotional turmoil, resilience, and quiet anticipation. Outside the courtroom, whispers begin almost immediately. Could this family survive these revelations? Is there a chance of reconciliation? Who is telling the truth, and who is hiding behind lies? And as the doors close, the narrative leaves a lingering, almost unbearable suspense, because the next session promises not just revelations, but emotional confrontations that could shatter the very foundation of what this family once believed about each other. The courtroom is eerily quiet as the third session begins. The air so thick with tension, it feels almost suffocating. Every seat filled with a mixture of curiosity, judgment, and empathy, as Kody Brown takes his place once again, shoulders squared, but a subtle tremor betraying the storm raging beneath his composed exterior. Christine sits with her arms crossed, eyes narrowed, jaw tight, clearly ready to confront every hidden truth, while Robyn shifts in her seat, the weight of past betrayals pressing heavily on her chest. And Meri sits quietly, fingers interlaced, eyes darting nervously, haunted by the echoes of secrets that have long festered in the corners of the family's life, all waiting to explode into public scrutiny. The judge, sensing the emotional fragility in the room, calls the session to order with a firm gavel, the sound reverberating through the chamber like a prelude to a storm. And the first witness is brought forward, a former household employee, someone who had been a silent observer of the family's private life for years, now ready to divulge every detail, no matter how painful or shocking. Their voice, calm yet deliberate, begins to recount nights where whispered arguments were hidden behind locked doors, where certain wives were left out of family decisions, and moments when the children were caught in the crossfire of adult tension, the details painting a picture far more complex and volatile than what the cameras had ever shown on the reality series. Christine's fingers curl tightly around her notes, knuckles white, as she whispers under her breath, "I can't believe this," while Robyn bites her lip, trying to suppress tears, and Meri stares blankly, as if the words spoken are simultaneously hers and not hers, a strange detachment born of shock and disbelief. Kody's face, usually calm and measured, flickers with unease as the witness describes conversations he had thought were private, moments of emotional manipulation. and strategic decisions that affected his wives without their knowledge. Each revelation a strike to the carefully constructed image of family unity. The courtroom audience murmurs softly, a collective gasp punctuating the air whenever particularly damning details emerge. Just when you think the tension has peaked, an unexpected revelation hits that could change the outcome of the entire case. A witness presents messages, text, email, and even private journal entries that reveal conflicting accounts of events, showing that even within the family, perceptions of reality diverged drastically, leaving the question of truth and deception hanging in the balance like a razor blade poised to cut. Christine's voice rises, trembling yet sharp. How could this happen under my roof? How could we be treated as if our voices didn't matter? Robyn leans forward, eyes glistening. We were manipulated, left out, and told lies, and no one cared to tell us the truth. Meri's whisper is almost inaudible. I thought we were a family. I thought we trusted each other. The judge motions for calm, but the emotional undertow cannot be stopped, the raw human pain spilling into every corner of the room, creating a silent storm where even the spectators feel the weight of fractured relationships. Period. The testimony continues, shifting into flashbacks, detailing arguments over trust, loyalty, and personal boundaries, revealing a labyrinth of secret alliances and hidden resentments that have festered for years. Kody's attempts to interject are met with piercing questions, each one peeling back layers of justification and exposing the emotional damage caused by his choices. Christine's eyes narrow, voice firm. We weren't asking for control. We were asking for respect, honesty, transparency. Robyn's tears fall freely now, her body shaking as she recounts the pain of exclusion, the feeling of being invisible in a family she loves deeply. And Meri, trembling, finally speaks up, her words fragmented. I just want things to be like they used to be. I don't know if we can ever go back. The tension spikes as the prosecution introduces a series of recordings from family therapy sessions that none of the wives had expected to see in a courtroom. Conversations where frustrations were aired, secrets were hinted at, and Kody's responses reveal a pattern of avoidance, partial truths, and selective disclosure. Every word played back on the monitor sends shockwaves through the room, the wives flinching, gasping, and exchanging glances filled with betrayal, anger, and sorrow. Christine's voice cuts through the silence, laced with indignation and hurt. So this is how you thought we'd remain in the dark. You used our trust as a shield. Robyn's whisper, almost breaking, trembles in the room. We were left to pick up the pieces of your choices, and we weren't even allowed to see the cracks forming. Meri looks down at her hands, trembling, eyes wide, as if witnessing her family unravel in slow motion, the shock and grief of physical weight pressing down on her chest. The courtroom falls into a tense rhythm, testimony, evidence, and rebuttals flowing in waves. Each moment more charged than the last, the emotional stakes escalating as alliances and perceptions are questioned, shaken, and tested. Kody's attempts to defend himself grow more strained, his voice faltering under the scrutiny, while the wives' emotions surge in response. Christine alternating between anger and disbelief, Robyn between sadness and indignation, Meri between sorrow and resignation. A sudden revelation from a surprise witness, a longtime friend of the family who had observed dynamics but never spoken, throws the courtroom into chaos, recounting private arguments, financial decisions kept secret from some wives, and moments where favoritism and manipulation were subtly woven into the family's daily life. The impact is immediate and profound, leaving Kody visibly shaken, Christine staring daggers, Robyn trembling with frustration, and Meri closing her eyes as if to block out the painful reality laid bare before everyone. The session takes a dark, suspenseful turn as the witness produces letters and emails, each one a testament to miscommunication, hidden motives, and emotional fractures that have long been ignored. Every document read aloud tightens the tension like a vice, the wives reacting with a mixture of horror, disbelief, and anguish, the courtroom audience leaning in, captivated by the emotional drama unfolding before them. Christine stands suddenly, voice breaking, yet resolute. "We were living in the shadow of your decisions, Kody, and nobody told us." Robyn's sobs punctuate the room. "We deserved to know. We deserved respect. We deserved honesty." Meri, voice quivering, adds, "And we were left to wonder if our feelings, our trust, and our love meant anything at all." The judge intervenes, calling for order, but even his presence cannot fully contain the storm of emotions, the weight of revelations, and the raw humanity of the conflict now fully exposed. The session delves deeper into past incidents, exploring confrontations at family events, moments of exclusion, and emotional manipulations that had previously been minimized or overlooked. The storytelling shifting between calm narration of facts and bursts of high-drama courtroom exchanges. The tone fluctuates to keep attention sharp, highlighting both internal struggles and public accountability. The prosecution introduces yet another element, a timeline meticulously detailing each hidden decision, conversation, and secret meeting, mapping the emotional landscape of betrayal, fear, and isolation that each wife endured. Christine studies it with fury and disbelief, Robyn with pain and exhaustion, and Meri with silent horror. Kody, trapped in the visual representation of his choices, attempts explanations, but his words feel small against the overwhelming tide of evidence, emotion, and testimony. And just when the family thinks they've seen everything, a shocking revelation about Kody's decisions sends shockwaves that no one could have predicted. The session builds toward an explosive climax as the final witness of the day testifies, recounting a confrontation between Kody and one of the wives that ended in tears, accusations, and a threat that the family might never recover if honesty isn't achieved immediately. The camera lingers on the wives' faces. Christine's anger has softened into weary pain. Robyn's fear is tempered with resolve, and Meri's confusion and sorrow reach a peak, a visual testament to the emotional weight of the case. The judge calls for adjournment, but the echoes of the testimony, the visual evidence, and the raw, unfiltered emotions linger in the room, leaving a charged atmosphere of suspense and anticipation for the next session. Outside the courtroom, whispers spread like wildfire. Can this family survive what's been revealed today? Who will reconcile, and who will walk away? How much damage has already been done? Each question lingers as a cliffhanger, a tantalizing pull to return and witness the next chapter of the unfolding drama, promising more emotional confrontations, shocking revelations, and moments that will test the very foundation of trust, loyalty, and love within this fractured family, leaving viewers unable to look away, captivated by the relentless tension and raw human emotion that has been laid bare in this unprecedented courtroom saga. The courtroom opens to a heavy, almost suffocating silence as the fourth session begins, every seat filled with anticipation and unspoken tension, the air vibrating with the weight of past revelations. And Kody Brown walks in with a sense of quiet urgency, his usually calm demeanor now laced with subtle anxiety, as if he can already feel the storm about to hit, while Christine sits with a rigid posture, her eyes sharp, scanning the room like a hawk ready to strike at the first sign of deceit. Robyn's fingers are entwined tightly in her lap, knuckles pale, betraying the inner turmoil she tries to hide behind measured breathing. And Meri, seated at the far end, seems almost unmoored, staring into space with wide, haunted eyes. The room itself echoing the tension of a family teetering on the edge of collapse. A judge's gavel falls with a resounding crack, signaling the start, and the first witness of the session, a close confidant who had quietly observed the Brown family for years, steps forward, their presence commanding silence as they begin to recount a night that had never been discussed publicly, a night filled with confrontation, secrets, and emotional fractures that were carefully hidden from cameras, but never from those living it. Describing a heated argument in Kody's home where accusations flew like shards of glass, Christine demanding answers about decisions that had been made without her consent, Robyn's voice trembling as she tried to mediate but found herself ignored, and Meri retreating into herself, silent tears streaking her face as she realized the depth of betrayal surrounding her. A courtroom listens, rapt, as each detail unfolds, painting a vivid, painful picture of a family struggling to maintain its unity while the undercurrents of secrecy, mistrust, and hurt threaten to tear it apart. Kody's attempts to interject are met with precise, cutting questions from the prosecution, probing every motive, timeline, and emotional nuance, forcing him to defend decisions that were intended as protective but perceived as controlling, manipulative, or dismissive. The intensity escalating with each moment as the witness introduces previously unseen communications, text messages, and emails revealing not just miscommunication, but deliberate omissions that impacted the wives' sense of trust and belonging. Christine's face tightens, voice trembling, yet sharp, as she demands, "Why were we left in the dark? How could you make choices that shaped our lives and never tell us?" Robyn leans forward, eyes glistening with tears. "We were silenced, gaslit, and made to feel invisible in our own family." Meri, barely audible, whispers, I thought we were united. I thought we trusted each other." The judge calls for calm, but the emotional current is too strong to suppress, the courtroom holding a collective breath as the tension continues to rise. Each revelation acting like a spark in a room filled with flammable emotions, creating an atmosphere so charged it feels as though it could ignite at any moment. The witness recounts more secret meetings, private discussions, and financial decisions that excluded some wives, revealing a pattern of selective disclosure that has fueled resentment, suspicion, and emotional isolation over the years, while Kody sits silently, his face a mask of conflicted emotion, struggling to reconcile his intentions with the visible pain inflicted. Christine's jaw tightens as she listens, eyes narrowing with a mix of anger and disbelief. Robyn's shoulders shake as she fights back tears, and Meri stares blankly, haunted by the realization that her perception of family harmony may have been an illusion. The prosecution, sensing the momentum, presents a series of recorded conversations from family therapy sessions. Conversations none of the wives expected to see publicly, where frustrations, secret grievances, and subtle manipulations are laid bare. Each word reverberating through the courtroom, leaving Kody momentarily speechless, Christine gasping, Robyn shaking with suppressed emotion, and Meri blinking rapidly to hold back tears. And just when the emotional stakes feel unbearable, a new piece of evidence is revealed that will leave everyone questioning who can be trusted. The recordings show not only hidden conflicts, but also moments of favoritism, emotional neglect, and strategic decisions made without full family input, forcing the wives and the audience alike to confront the reality that the public image of the family may have been a carefully constructed facade, masking years of pain, misunderstanding, and emotional neglect. Christine rises, voice sharp and unwavering. You say these decisions were for protection, but we were left powerless. Our feelings were disregarded, our trust shattered. Robyn, voice cracking, adds, we were not consulted. We were treated like outsiders in our own home, and now all of this is coming to light. Meri's soft, almost broken voice trembles. I never imagined it would be like this. I thought we were a family that understood each other. The judge, trying to maintain order, calls for brief recess, but the tension refuses to abate, lingering in the courtroom like an unrelenting storm. Every eye on Kody, as if awaiting a confession, an explanation, or perhaps even a crack in his composure. As the session resumes, the narrative shifts to a detailed examination of past confrontations, arguments that had occurred behind closed doors, choices that had excluded certain wives, and moments where emotional manipulation was subtle, yet profoundly impactful. The storytelling alternating between intense courtroom exchanges and reflective narration, giving the audience both the factual and emotional dimensions of the unfolding drama. Kody's attempts to justify his actions grow increasingly strained, his voice faltering under the relentless scrutiny. While the wives' emotions surge in response, Christine oscillating between anger and heartbreak, Robyn between fear and indignation, Meri between sorrow and disbelief. The session takes a dramatic turn when a surprise witness, a longtime family friend who had previously remained silent, is brought forward, revealing knowledge of private arguments, secret plans, and emotional decisions that had never reached the public eye. Each revelation intensifying the courtroom's charged atmosphere. Christine's eyes flash with fury. Robyn trembles, and Meri's hands clutch at her bag as she absorbs the testimony, the weight of the family's hidden tensions pressing down on her chest. The prosecution then presents a series of letters and personal notes, each documenting conflicts, private grievances, and emotional struggles, further exposing the fractures in the family's relationships. The room alternating between heavy silence and audible gasps as the depth of hidden pain and miscommunication is revealed, each piece of evidence reinforcing the narrative of a family on the brink of unraveling. Christine rises again, voice filled with indignation. All these years, we trusted him, and look where that trust has led us. Robyn leans forward, tears spilling freely. We needed transparency, we needed honesty, and we were denied it. Meri closes her eyes, silent but shaking. I can't believe the family I knew could be so different from the truth. The judge intervenes briefly, restoring a semblance of order, but even his presence cannot fully contain the emotional turbulence, the intensity, and the raw human drama now fully visible for all to see. As the session progresses, additional evidence is introduced, including a detailed timeline mapping every decision, conversation, and secret that contributed to the wives' sense of exclusion, betrayal, and mistrust. Each moment carefully chronicled to highlight the cumulative effect on the family dynamic, leaving Kody visibly struggling, Christine burning with righteous anger, Robyn exhausted yet resolute, and Meri emotionally shattered. And just when it seems the session might end on a note of clarity, a shocking twist is revealed that threatens to unravel everything once more. The witness recounts a confrontation in the family home that ended in tears, accusations, and ultimatums. Moments that had never been documented publicly, but now serve as pivotal evidence in understanding the complex web of emotions, choices, and consequences that define this family's story. The courtroom holds its breath as Christine's voice pierces the silence. Robyn's sobs echo softly, and Meri's trembling whisper underscores the depth of emotional pain experienced by all. The session concludes with the judge announcing the adjournment. The weight of revelations, emotional confrontations, and unanswered questions leaving the courtroom tense and heavy. Spectators whispering about what they have just witnessed, and viewers left on the edge of their seats, anticipating the next session where unresolved conflicts, hidden truths, and explosive revelations promise to push the Brown family further toward a breaking point, making it impossible to look away from the raw human drama that continues to unfold in this unprecedented courtroom saga. The fifth session begins with a heavy, almost suffocating tension that feels thicker than ever, as if the courtroom itself is holding its breath in anticipation of the next revelation. And Kody Brown walks in with a visible weariness etched on his face, shoulders slightly hunched, yet jaw set, knowing that today will push the family's secrets and emotions to new heights, while Christine sits upright, eyes sharp and unyielding, radiating a mixture of anger, disbelief, and a desire for confrontation. Robyn fidgets subtly, fingers tapping a restless rhythm, her usually composed demeanor giving way to visible anxiety. And Meri remains distant, gaze fixed somewhere beyond the room, lost in the whirlpool of thoughts, fear, and grief that have been mounting over the past sessions. All four central figures, a study in human vulnerability, resilience, and the fragility of trust. The judge calls the court to order with a crisp gavel strike, the sound echoing like a warning of the emotional turbulence that is about to unfold. And the first witness of the day steps forward, a former family aide who has observed years of private interactions, now ready to reveal critical insights into the emotional undercurrents, hidden alliances, and unspoken tensions that have quietly governed the family for decades. The witness speaking in a measured tone, yet filled with subtle urgency, recounting instances of emotional exclusion, whispered confrontations, and strategic decisions made in secrecy that have left deep, lasting scars on the wives' trust, confidence, and sense of belonging within the family unit. The courtroom silent except for the crisp, deliberate articulation of truths long hidden. Christine leans forward, voice low but cutting. We were left in the shadows while decisions that shaped our lives were made without us. How could this be considered fairness? Period pause, period break, period break, period break, period break. This one. Robyn's lips press into a thin line, eyes glistening as she whispers, "We were manipulated and silenced, forced to live with the consequences without having any say." While Meri almost inaudibly says, "I don't know who I am in this family anymore. I thought we were united." Kody shifts uneasily, hands tightening in his lap, searching for words to defend choices made with intent, but now perceived as betrayal. Each testimony, a mirror reflecting both the weight of responsibility and the fracture of trust. The witness continues, producing emails, letters, and notes that map a series of secret discussions, covert decisions, and emotional conflicts that Kody had attempted to manage privately, without the knowledge or input of his wives. The room reacting visibly to each piece of evidence, Christine gasping, Robyn blinking back tears, and Meri clutching her handbag as though holding herself together through sheer force of will. And just when it seems the tension has reached its peak, a shocking revelation is introduced that could change the course of this family's story forever. The witness recounts an incident where Kody's decisions directly resulted in a confrontation among the wives. An emotionally charged night filled with accusations, cries, and confessions that none had ever imagined would be public. A moment that had simmered privately, but now threatens to redefine perceptions of loyalty, honesty, and love within the family. Christine's voice rises sharply, eyes blazing. You call this protection? You call this care? We were left in the dark while our lives were being dictated behind closed doors. Robyn leans forward, voice quivering. We needed transparency. We needed truth. And instead, we were left with half answers and secrecy. Meri's whisper carries across the courtroom, trembling and fragile. I can't believe the people I trusted most could keep such things from me. The judge raises a hand, calling for order, but the storm of emotion is too powerful to suppress. The air thick with anticipation, anguish, and the raw humanity of the situation as the family confronts both past choices and present consequences. The testimony then delves into financial decisions, household management, and the allocation of family responsibilities, revealing patterns of favoritism, exclusion, and emotional manipulation that had previously been minimized or rationalized. Each revelation a brick added to the emotional wall that separates Kody from his wives, Christine leaning back in disbelief, Robyn shaking her head in frustration, and Meri closing her eyes, overwhelmed by the weight of the truth being laid bare. Kody struggles to articulate his perspective, his voice faltering under the weight of scrutiny, while Christine's anger rises. We trusted you to guide our family with fairness and honesty. Instead, we were left to pick up the pieces of your hidden decisions. Robyn adds, tears streaming. We were silenced, left with no voice, and now we are forced to relive every betrayal in public. Meri finally speaks with quiet but piercing clarity. I don't know if this family can survive the truth, or if we will ever see each other without suspicion again. The witness presents yet another layer of evidence. Text messages between Kody and external advisors. Conversations meant to manage tensions and decisions without the wife's knowledge, now exposing the intricate web of secrecy, control, and protective intent that has defined Kody's approach to leadership within the family. Every message, every admission, every hidden conversation, intensifying the courtroom's charged atmosphere. Christine's voice trembles with righteous fury. You call this care? We were treated like outsiders in our own home. Robyn's hands shake visibly as she grips the bench. We loved this family and we were deceived. Meri whispers, voice breaking. I just want the family I knew back. Is that even possible? The judge intervenes, calling for brief recess to allow participants to collect themselves. But the tension lingers, thick and palpable, a silent storm that seems to hover over the courtroom, making each pause, each breath, and each exchange heavy with unspoken anticipation. When the session resumes, the focus shifts to confrontations between the wives themselves, exposing fractures in trust, loyalty, and emotional alignment. Christine directly addresses Robyn and Meri, her tone a mixture of accusation and desperation. How could we let this happen? How did we fail to notice the cracks before they became chasms? Robyn, fighting back tears, responds, we were blindsided, betrayed by the very person we thought would protect us. Meri adds, voice trembling, and now we are left to navigate the consequences, wondering if any of our relationships are real. Kody attempts to respond, his voice strained but deliberate. Every decision I made was for the family's protection. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but the courtroom reacts with a mixture of disbelief and frustration, the wives' responses cutting sharply through his defenses. Christine's glare sharp enough to pierce steel, Robyn shaking her head in disbelief, and Meri staring at him as though seeing a stranger in the body of the man she once trusted completely. The prosecution seizes the moment to introduce the final piece of evidence for the day, a diary chronicling private moments, emotional struggles, and clandestine conversations that reveal both the depth of Kody's intentions and the unintended consequences of secrecy. Each entry read aloud, striking like a hammer, leaving the courtroom collectively holding its breath, the wives visibly reacting with shock, sorrow, and anger. The audience equally captivated and emotionally drained by the unfolding drama. Christine rises, voice cracking. "How are we supposed to trust you when you kept so much hidden?" Robyn's tears spill freely. "We were left powerless, unheard, and unprotected." Meri's whisper is almost inaudible. "I don't know if we can ever be whole again." Kody's face is pale, jaw tight, hands trembling slightly. The weight of the testimonies, evidence, and emotional turmoil pressing down like a physical force, the strain evident in every micro-expression. Every subtle tremor of his hands, every faltering word. And just when the courtroom thinks it has seen the full extent of the family's struggles, a shocking twist emerges that will leave everyone questioning what they thought they knew about loyalty, love, and truth. The witness recounts an explosive confrontation from years ago, hidden from public view, where accusations flew, secrets were revealed in whispers and tears, and ultimatums threatened to permanently fracture the family. The wives react viscerally. Christine's hands clench, Robyn's shoulders shake, and Meri's eyes widen, tears streaking her face as the depth of the betrayal is fully realized. The session closes with the judge calling for adjournment. The weight of revelations, emotional confrontations, and unanswered questions leaving the courtroom tense, heavy, and silent. Spectators whispering in disbelief, and the wives walking out with a mixture of exhaustion, pain, and anticipation for the next session, knowing that the path toward understanding, reconciliation, or irreparable fracture is still uncertain. The emotional cliffhanger leaving viewers desperate to see what will happen next, how the family will navigate the storm, and whether trust, love, and loyalty can survive the unprecedented exposure of their private world.